What if I told you there's one simple trick that can turn ChatGPT from a decent assistant into something that feels like a literal superpower? Not better answers. Before we dive in, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss anything. And after you subscribe, drop your video ideas in the comments. Also, stick around until the very end, because this one trick might completely change how you use ChatGPT. I'm talking about results that feel like you suddenly unlocked a hidden mode that most people don't even know exists. And the crazy part is, almost nobody uses it properly. Most people open ChatGPT, type a quick question, get an okay answer, and move on. That's fine. But it's like owning a high-end camera and only ever using auto mode. You're barely scratching the surface of what's possible. The difference between average output and insanely powerful output often comes down to one thing. Here's the trick. Instead of asking ChatGPT to give you an answer, you tell it who it is, what it knows, and how it should think before it answers. That's it. That's the entire shift. But the impact is massive. Let me show you what I mean. Imagine you type something simple, like, "Give me tips for growing on YouTube." You'll get a generic answer. It'll probably be decent, but it won't feel groundbreaking. Now watch what happens when you change the approach. Instead, you say something like this in one flowing prompt. You tell ChatGPT to act like a YouTube growth strategist with 10 years of experience. Someone who understands the algorithm deeply, who has helped channels go from 0 to millions of subscribers. Then you explain your situation, your niche, your current struggles, your goals, and you ask for a detailed strategy tailored specifically to you. Suddenly, the output feels completely different. It's more structured, more insightful, more relevant, and often surprisingly creative. It feels less like a chatbot and more like you're talking to a real expert. And that's the superpower. You're not just asking questions anymore, you're creating a context. You're shaping the intelligence behind the answer. This works for almost anything. If you want to write better content, don't just say, "Write me a script." Tell ChatGPT to act like a viral content creator who understands storytelling, pacing, and audience retention. If you want business advice, don't just ask for tips. Ask it to respond like a startup advisor who has built multiple successful companies. If you want to learn something complex, tell it to act like a world-class teacher who explains things simply but deeply. What's happening here is actually pretty fascinating. ChatGPT doesn't become these roles in a literal sense, but by framing the request this way. You guide how it organizes information, what it prioritizes, and how it communicates. You're essentially steering the output at a much deeper level. Think of it like giving directions instead of just asking for a destination. The more precise and intentional you are, the better the journey. And here's where it gets even more powerful. You can stack this technique. You don't have to stop at just one role. You can say something like, "Act as both a psychologist and a productivity expert, and then analyze why I struggle with consistency and give me a system to fix it." Or you can say, "Act as a storyteller and a marketing expert, and help me turn this idea into a compelling narrative that sells." Now you're combining perspectives. You're creating answers that feel layered and multidimensional. That's something most users never even think about doing. Another level to this is specifying the format and depth. Instead of leaving it open-ended, you can guide exactly how the answer should look and feel. You can ask for a step-by-step breakdown, or a detailed explanation with examples, or a concise summary followed by actionable steps. You can even ask for different versions, like one simple explanation and one advanced deep dive. The more clarity you give, the more powerful the result becomes. But here's something people often miss. It's not just about giving instructions. It's about giving context. Context is everything. If you're asking for advice, include your situation. If you're asking for feedback, include your work. If you're trying to learn something, explain what you already know and where you're stuck. The more information you provide, the more tailored and useful the response will be. It's the difference between asking a stranger for directions with no details versus telling them exactly where you are, where you want to go, and what you've already tried. And once you start doing this, you'll notice something interesting. You'll stop thinking of ChatGPT as a question-answer tool and start seeing it as a thinking partner. You can iterate, you can refine, you can go back and say, "Make this more specific," or "Challenge this idea," or "Give me a completely different perspective." You can even ask it to critique its own answer and improve it. That's where things start to feel almost unfair. Because now you're not just getting one answer, you're evolving the answer in real time. Let's take a practical example. Say you're working on a business idea. Instead of asking, "Is this a good idea?" you can do something much more powerful. You can ask ChatGPT to act as a skeptical investor and point out all the weaknesses. Then you can ask it to switch roles and act as an optimistic founder and strengthen the idea. Then you can ask it to combine both perspectives into a balanced strategy. You've just simulated a mini boardroom discussion in minutes. That's not just useful, that's transformative. And the best part is, once you understand this trick, it becomes second nature. You'll start naturally framing your prompts with more intention. You'll think about roles, context, and outcomes without even trying. It's like learning a new language. At first, you have to think about every word, but eventually, it just flows. Now, I want to be honest about something. This isn't magic. It won't instantly solve every problem or replace real expertise. But it dramatically amplifies what you can do, especially if you're willing to experiment and refine your approach. And that's really the key: experimentation. Try different roles, try different tones, try different levels of detail. See what works best for your specific needs. The more you play with it, the better you'll get. Also, don't be afraid to go back and improve your prompt. If the answer isn't what you expected, don't just accept it. Adjust your input, add more context. Be clearer about what you want. Remember, the quality of the output is directly tied to the quality of the input. And once this clicks, you'll realize something powerful. You're no longer limited by what you know. You're limited by how well you can ask. That's a huge shift, because it means you can tackle things you might have avoided before. Writing, coding, business planning, learning new skills. All of it becomes more accessible when you know how to guide the process effectively. And that's why I call this a superpower. Not because it's flashy, but because it fundamentally changes how you interact with information. You go from passive to active, from reactive to intentional. So here's what I want you to do after this video. Open ChatGPT and try this technique on something you actually care about. Don't overthink it. Just start by defining a role, adding context, and being clear about what you want. Then refine from there. You'll probably be surprised by how much better the results feel. And if you stick with it, you'll get faster, sharper, and more creative with your prompts. That's when things really start to take off. Now, before we wrap up, I want you to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell if you haven't already. It really helps the channel grow and lets me keep making videos like this. And I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me what you're going to use this trick for, or share a prompt you've tried that worked really well. I read the comments and they often inspire future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.